The Delta Force Black Hawk Down campaign is so good. It's so good. I thought that right in the middle of it, I should take a break and clean up dog poop. That's a pooper scooper. I thought cleaning up dog poop would be a far better use of my time than continuing to play the Black Hawk Down campaign. The fact that anybody online is trying to say that this is fun, that this is good, that this is immersive, they're bots. They gotta be bots. Crazy sponsored gigs maybe. I have no idea how anyone can play this campaign and tell people that they care about or even pretend to care about that this is good. I watched the Surviving Black Hawk Down documentary, new on Netflix. I actually watched it a few days ago to get hyped for this campaign. Black Hawk Down, I watched a movie when I was younger. I read the book by Mike Durant when I was younger. Black Hawk Down is crazy. The story is crazy. And Surviving Black Hawk Down, the Somalian story there is crazy too. The whole thing is just insane that it happened. And the fact that I could finally play this campaign in a modern day setting with UE5, I was over the moon. This is a horrible excuse for it, and they are playing on people's nostalgia for the Delta Force games. They are playing on people's nostalgia for Black Hawk Down. I would say this is a money grab, but you know what? The devs announced that they were going to give this for free. And you know why? Because it's so bad. They're hoping that people will play this and then maybe get back into the multiplayer and get into their little ecosystem for battle passes. I don't even know what the monetization is right now for that game. I've been sponsored by Delta Force in the past. That's the worst part about this is I've actually enjoyed some of the multiplayer. It brought back some of the Battlefield feelings that I've had and I've had missing from games for so long. The multiplayer chaos was actually there. The Black Hawk Down cinematics we saw, it looked cool. It looked immersive. It looked like, wow, they actually get it. And then we get served this. Holy crap. I'm just going to leave it at that. If you like this game, I don't think you're a real person. You can't be. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I literally had to touch grass before making this video, so let me show you why I am so frustrated by this campaign. But before I do that, I want to address the "but Moi, it's a free game" comments, because I know those are coming. Free games are great, but just because it's free doesn't mean that it's great. Get it? If I gave you the bag of dog poop that I just scooped with the pooper scooper up outside, would you take it? Why not? It's free. You wouldn't like something even though it was free? Personally, I think free games get passes on a lot of unfun game mechanics because they are free. And you know what? That's fine. But that shouldn't excuse criticism of a game. If you listen to everything in this video and you say, you know what, it still is free, I hear you, but I'm fine with all of these complaints, then you do you. But your time is not free. Your time spent playing a video game is time you could be spending doing other things, and I'm going to warn you right now that you should do other things than play the Black Hawk Down campaign. First off, when I think campaign, I think of something that I can play like a campaign. It's a single player experience that lets you play through a story and preset narrative, and sometimes there are options to play this with your buddies in the form of co-op. For example, a game like 6 Days in Fallujah allows you to play through a real-life mission, not unlike Black Hawk Down, and if you want to play it solo, you can. You can have AI players in your fire team that you control and they help you progress. You can ask them to suppress a location, they can move, they respond to nearby enemies, and they even stack up breach and help clear rooms. If you want to play that same campaign with your friends, sure, you can party up with your buddies, select the mission, and you're good to go. It's all the same missions, AI are real people, there's no problem, and the game itself, the experience itself, does not suffer whether or not you have players or AI. In Black Hawk Down, however, this was obviously never meant to be a single-player experience, and I kind of feel like the devs pulled a really big bait and switch. After installing the DLC and getting to the main menu, your only options are co-op or matchmaking, and honestly, I thought I was missing something for a second, since matchmaking is co-op, but it's actually asking if you want to host a game or join a game through matchmaking. There is no start campaign button. You always have to go to this multiplayer lobby. If you want to play solo, you can click an option to make this lobby password protected, and then you are able to move on and start the actual mission. But unless I'm missing something entirely here, you are always going to have to connect to an online server, which can take about 30 seconds, and then the Delta Force client will shut down, the Black Hawk Down application then opens up, and then you have another loading screen which sometimes goes from 100% loaded all the way back down to 0, then loads back up to 100%. I don't really know what it's doing, but it's just annoying. After all that, you are then put into a 2-minute timed lobby. Yes, even as a solo player, you are stuck on a 2-minute timer to select your character and your kit before the mission will automatically start. But before we get into the mission, let's look at these characters. You can select between 4 different roles: Assault, Support, Sniper, and Medic. Assault has more grenades, Support can give ammo, Sniper has one-shot kill weapons and better optics, and Medics can give meds. It all seems pretty straightforward, but if you're doing this solo, you're gonna have a bad time. For my first mission, I selected Medic since I wanted to make sure I could keep healing myself, but quickly found out that these special abilities do not work unless you have another real player playing with you. In order to use your medic ability to get more medic packs, you have to physically go up to someone and press G to give them meds, like this.
Ammo replenished!
Yeah, and did you also notice that me as a medic also said, "Here's your ammo," while giving a med kit? We'll get to that later. So although you have these special roles, there's really no good option to pick if you do want to play this game solo. In my first mission, I really wasn't sure what I was doing, and I ended up dying right outside the start. I realized I had low health afterwards, and I just said, well, I'm stupid, I should have healed, and then I just restarted with the support role to try out the machine gun. This time, a few seconds into the mission, I got shot, which then broke my leg. I limped up the stairs, I bandaged, and a dude came running around the corner and kicked me in the face. I was dead again. Was this just skill issue? Probably. I mean, I'd only been playing for a few minutes. I assumed it was skill issue, and I simply wasn't understanding the hardcore medical and damage mechanics, and just because I was dying didn't mean that the game sucked. But unfortunately, this was just the beginning of me realizing how bad the actual game design was. AI in Black Hawk Down are literal aimbots, so much so that in one mission I discovered 2 AI just shooting at each other through a wall, one with an M16 and one with an RPG. Before you peek any corners, they are already shooting at you. When you hide, they continue to shoot at you. And unfortunately, there are plenty of one-shot mechanics out there like RPGs, snipers, and melee, which will instantly kill you before you even realized what happened. Since there are also no checkpoints in this campaign, you will have to restart the entire mission once you are killed, making some fights feel like incredible RNG. But what's worse is that your friendly AI is absolutely worthless. There must be some sort of mechanic that is hard-coded in the game to make it so that AI can't kill AI, or at least there's a very slim chance that they do kill each other. Now, I understand in most games the devs want you to do a lot of the work, but it is borderline comical at how bad this looks. When you're getting swarmed in the first mission, you have an entire ranger platoon down below you fighting, and you kind of just watch as everyone shoots and runs around each other. When you are trying to protect the convoy on foot, it's actually more common for the 50 cal gunners to not shoot than shoot. And since RPGs can one-shot kill Humvees, that's really not a good thing. Once again, I understand that players should be the ones protecting the convoy, and that means that we should be killing the RPGs, but the fact that these Humvees are one-shot kills, and they're not even suppressing the RPG gunners, it just makes it all just so lame. You can actually lose all 3 of your Humvees within a minute of the start if you're suppressed by gunfire and you can't physically find that one RPG to shoot. It got to the point where I simply had to memorize the first 10 RPG locations so I could run ahead and snipe them before the Humvees showed up. And that just made the whole thing so arcadey and really took me out of the story. These missions quickly go from tactical immersion to what feels like a horde shooter. I ended up putting my weapon on semi and would try and take headshots since I knew there would be literally dozens upon dozens of enemies around every corner, and you know what, that's actually fine. From what we've heard of the actual event, Hundreds and hundreds of Somalians died as they pretty much turned the entire city against the Americans. I've also heard players complaining that AI spawns behind you or shows up in places where you already cleared, and yeah, dude, they should. It's a city, and the Americans are stuck in like a 4-building block. The Somalians know exactly where you are, and you are getting sent waves and waves to kill, overrun, and capture everyone. I'm okay with AI being everywhere, but the devs do not give players enough agency to deal with the situation they put them in. As a solo player, whenever you do run out of ammo or meds, that's it. For meds, I started trying not to heal myself unless I was red health or had a damaged limb, but getting hit is so frequent that sometimes you'd spend half your medkits due to an aimbot AI. For ammo, you really need to make your shots count. You have nothing to rearm off of, and I know a lot of players have complained that to fix this, you should be able to pick up weapons off the ground. Well, I actually disagree. We don't need weapon pickups to make this better at all. If I were to compare this to 6 Days in Fallujah, if you're running low on ammo, you can simply go up to the AI vehicles and rearm. With so many vehicles and friendlies nearby in Black Hawk Down, it would have made perfect sense for us to be able to rearm within our teams, or the Humvees, the convoy truck. Hey, just go up to a guy and press G and he tosses you a mag. But the devs just completely skipped this feature entirely. There is a real immersive way to make this more compelling, and instead they hope that players would use their special abilities to get through this poorly scripted AI. And that now brings us to co-op. I know there are some people out there who are saying, well, Moi, of course it's hard. The devs said it's not for solo players and you're out here doing it solo. You're just playing it wrong. Okay, so if you want to see how this is played perfectly with 4 players, please find another video. There's plenty out there, but I wanted to experience this like how the devs made it. Yes, they gave you an option to play with 3 of your buddies. They also gave you an option to play it solo, and they also gave you an option to matchmake and join others to play through the story with. So after a couple rounds of solo, I went to do it with multiplayer. When you create your lobby in Black Hawk Down, you simply wait for players to join and then you have to ready up. But from what I could tell, players weren't really loading in quick enough to actually get full before the ADD nature of today's gamers caused them to just leave the group. I would frequently have someone leave and rejoin 3 or 4 times before they just finally stopped or just stayed in the lobby and we got a 3rd, only to then leave a couple minutes later before we got the 4th. It got to the point where I would start the mission the moment we had 3 players, or else we'd just be waiting endlessly. After you do get started and your party reloads the Black Hawk Down app, you can select your character and your role. Here is where it gets a bit frustrating. You can select your role as assault, support, sniper, or medic, right? But within those roles, you can actually not even play the role. You can be a medic that gives ammo instead of meds, or an assault that has no extra grenades. It's just really weird, so if you're trying to play as a pickup group, your experience is going to be annoying at times due to these horrible picks. And it's all because of the devs. I just find it so odd that the devs not only made the AI so difficult that you need teammates to rearm ammo and meds, but then they made it so that those teammates might not even have the extra ammo and meds. It just makes no sense. Now, my first multiplayer mission ran fine. We got through everything, and then at the end, we were able to ready up for the next one. But at the end screen, 1 player left, so it was just the 2 of us. No problem, right? Just get back in the matchmaking lobby, fill the slots, and we're good to go. Wrong. You can either roll with the people that are left over, or exit to start remaking a brand new matchmaking lobby. Seriously? Oh, and remember, the whole thing will start in 2 minutes whether you're ready or not, so don't be surprised if your teammate AFKs at the start. The mission begins, and everything just keeps rolling because why wouldn't it? This is so thrown together, I can't imagine it was properly tested. It was made for co-op, supposedly, but has 0 co-op quality of life features. There's no way to vote to restart the mission in the settings menu. Players get no way to safely AFK to hit the bathroom for a minute or 2. There's no way to ensure players are locked into proper support roles. And even if you do get it all perfect and end up with 4 players, the game still kind of sucks. After my lobby fell apart due to AFK people and Humvees spontaneously combusting, I joined a lobby through matchmaking. I was on the 2nd mission at this time, and I got match made into the final mission. To my knowledge of the campaign so far, Super 6-1 and Super 6-4 were still flying safely up above Mogadishu, but here I am about to run the Mogadishu Mile. I thought that was stupid, so I left that game, tried matchmaking again, and this time I was added to the overnight survival mission, so I said, whatever, I'm sick of waiting, we've got 4 people, so let's just give this a shot. Who needs a story to be told in order anyways, right? Everything was perfect. We had comms, we had a player who knew what he was doing, everyone had the right role, and within a minute or 2, we were all dead. And once again, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be one-shot kill features in the game or things shouldn't be difficult, but this is so wildly unfun that it actively takes away from the story. The guy who made this lobby had been trying to complete this mortar mission for over a day, but still couldn't do it. All of this could be avoided if players had lobbies that they could search for. If that guy made a lobby that was the mortar mission and I had also been stuck on the mortar mission, I could search for all the mortar mission lobbies, join it, and then we would have a 4-stack of players who might not know each other, but we all have the same intention. We want to work together to beat this mission because it's hard as hell and we all know what to expect. With just random matchmaking, you're never going to have players that really want to work together. Some will join the lobby, see it's not the mission they want, then immediately back out. And the moment something does go wrong, players will just leave, since why not? These missions are sometimes like 3 or 4 minutes, so I'm not going to wait for idiots. Okay, but Moi, I've got a 4-stack of people. We're all super tactical and we got this. We love it when games are hard and we're not going to play it how you're saying it. All right, fine. But this is still going to be extremely unrewarding. There are 7 missions in total, and I think you might get about an hour or so gameplay out of it, max. As I just said, some missions take as little as 4 minutes, and there's only 2 that I think last for more than 10. On top of that, you have a lot of one-shot kill mechanics that you cannot escape. In the convoy mission where you man the 50 cal guns, I died instantly from an RPG I didn't even see. I was the second vehicle in the convoy, and as a result, I just had to watch my teammate for the next 3-minute drive until he accidentally killed civilians at the end. We failed the mission, and then he left, and I was back to square one. Your friends might not leave you in a mission like this, but it's just not fun for the players to have so few ways to keep yourself alive and playing in a mission that's so quick and so unfairly punishing. This all goes back to the game's design. The mortars seem to actually just track players and purposely target you. Snipers will shoot down bodies over and over again, since I guess they're still considering them to be a real player target. RPGs are either designed to miss you, like these here, which never hit and instead fire safely over the entire city each and every time, or it's like the one from earlier, which is trying to aimbot me through a building. All of that doesn't just magically get better because you have 3 extra people, and it seems like the devs think that a hardcore game means that you just die easy. It's not, it's just annoying, and what's worse is that you'll then get players who might AFK while you're dead and you're just bleeding out in the distance, or they're just going to actively ignore you because people are just bad at video games. And there's no real indicator. If you're not paying attention while you're getting shot and you're losing limbs and stuff like that, you might not see this little tiny icon at the bottom of your screen. Speaking of teamwork, if you do have all the perfect roles, you can't go up to someone and request ammo if they're support or request meds if they're medics. You have to have that person come to you and they have to physically be in front of you. There's like a locked animation where if players are staring right at each other, it will initiate, but if you're behind them, to the side of them, in any type of situation where it would be normal to have 2 people side to side and pass ammo or meds, you're not going to be able to do it and you're just locked. Some things are cool. The cinematics are cool, the graphics are great, and although I've heard people complain that Black Hawk Down is a little too on rails and lacks player choice in what you can do, yeah, I mean, this isn't a game like Far Cry or Ghost Recon where it's a sandbox. We're supposed to play through a real-life mission, and that's going to limit you. There are very distinct chapters, and if you know the movie, you know what to expect. But I don't think that story is worth it to play through. And on top of all these problems, the game itself has almost zero quality control. The end screen is missing a translation for kills, there's Chinese in the civilian damage warning, and only Chinese speakers would also understand that this warning actually changes depending on how many times you've done it, as it indicates 1 or 2 times right here, and on top of all this, it's actually completely wrong. It's not a warning for almost hitting civilians, as I thought originally. You actually have to hit civilians to receive this warning, and if you do hit them 3 times, the mission will immediately fail and you'll have to restart. The voiceovers for everything are just cringy. You have the character selection screen, which just sounds weird.
This is what all my training's been for.
The in-game stuff is just as cheesy.
Hey, provide cover for the convoys to the main road!
And there's even a mistake where the cinematic calls Strecker, and then it's pronounced correctly not even a minute later.
How are things going? Things okay there, Strucker?
There's also pre-scripted events that aren't necessarily bad, but they just seem ridiculous, and in one mission you have little birds which are supposed to clear technicals which are blocking the way, but the game actually allows players to do it themselves. Still, this cutscene animation pre-scripted event or whatever will still happen, and we actually had a little bird dump all of its rockets on a friendly because he was standing on the technical that we killed just a minute before. Additionally, all over the map, there's this weird "Love is Unlimited" graffiti, which is just so out of place, and because it's out of place, you notice it. And it's everywhere. It's even layered on top of other graffiti. Like, why is this a thing? I even Google searched Mogadishu "Love is Unlimited" since maybe I thought it was like a specific Somalian phrase or something, and it only came up with 22 results. 22 results out of the entire internet, and none of them even mentioned "Love is Unlimited." Ugh, this whole thing is lame. There's just so many examples of laziness, but I can't pretend to care anymore. This whole thing was just so disappointing. If you like the Black Hawk Down story, I can't recommend playing this. Go watch the movie. It's about as long as a campaign will take you. The documentary, Surviving Black Hawk Down, is incredible, and it's a far better use of your time. If after all of this, you still say, well, Moi, it's free, so I'll check it out for myself, fine. Okay, I can't stop you, but I wouldn't touch this unless you had a couple hours to spend with 3 buddies who really don't need breaks and can put up with some really frustrating gameplay mechanics. Even then, I would rather just stream Black Hawk Down on Discord, have some beers, grab some popcorn, and hang out with everyone and watch a really cool movie. It's far better. Let me know what you guys think. I know I'm ranting, I know I'm rambling, but am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'm gonna go scrub myself of this horrible game. Until next time, peace.